So typical style, Jonathan, we'll start with me with some Houston West Chamber of Commerce announcements, and then we'll go to the Aesop's Fable. Gonna do the grasshopper and the ants. Remember that story? Grasshoppers hanging out in the summer. You don't know this story? Oh, dude, you're in for some sweet story time. And then I'll talk a little bit about how Houston is an amazing place to work, live, and play. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just jump right in, because it'll just probably be about 5 minutes of me just rambling of awesome Shermanness, and then we'll bring on Ryan, and then he'll jump right in. And then so we might break in the midst of our conversation for let's just do that, actually, while we're talking. We'll have him introduce himself, and then we'll take a break. And then that way we can get the sponsor, and then we'll come back to Ryan, and he can share more about LS2 Solutions, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Nance, right? Yes. Ryan Nance, yeah. LS2 Solutions. Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to have a 30-minute show?
Probably about 20 minutes. I think we'll go a little bit shorter.
Okay, 20 minutes.
It depends how much Ryan wants to tell of his story.
Yeah, if you want me to tell one
story. How about Ryan? Ryan today.
So we'll do...
almost dropped you.
So 3 sections, 2 commercials, or 1 commercial. Just one commercial? Yeah, so we'll do a commercial a little bit after.
How you doing, everybody?
So we'll do it 10 minutes in.
Yeah, like him, 5 minutes rambling, and then commercial.
Okay, so me ramble, 5 minutes to take up sponsorship. Mm-hmm. Ryan, you just want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And then the rest is just cleared. So the rest is just until you
Until we close her down.
Until you close her down. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll right before you introduce him, you can just say go into commercial. We'll go to commercial, and then.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Yep. All right, everybody. The downside of Facebook Live is this: you get this vertical side of things.
I just bought this really cool 3-axis gimbal thing with a tripod. It's a handheld, so it does like tracking. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So it'll
thanks for bringing it.
Yeah, I didn't know what our.
Thanks, Ryan. Tell me all the good things that you have.
Facebook, $100.
All right. Facebook Marketplace for probably 50. All right. So, Jonathan, tell me when you're ready, my friend. We'll get this party started. I don't know if you can see that. How do I look? How do I sound? Whoa. Red rubber ball. Red rubber ball. I'm trying to memorize the thing that, like, Anchorman. What does he say? Ron Burgundy's like, whiskey. The cat jumped over the tree.
Ready when you are.
Count us down, buddy.
All right.
Ryan's ready. He's been on radio, so this is super comfortable. Or I guess we'll find out.
Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my hands.
Oh my gosh.
They're just coming up. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Guest in the West Show, episode number 7. Excited to be with you here today. I'm Sherman from Mutual Omaha, and today we're going to have guest on Ryan Nance from LS2 Solutions. I want to thank, of course, Jonathan, our producer here from Now Media Studios, in producing this. And of course, I want to thank Devin, who helps organize this from the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. So let's get right to some of the news here today. First off, I want to thank John over at Cantina Laredo. He is celebrating 3 years of hosting that morning rise and grind that we have at the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. So I wanted to give a shout out to him. And over there, they have a nice Wednesday nights happy hour. And if for that, you can get 2 fajitas for the price of 1. What a great deal. And so appreciate him opening up his restaurant early, making breakfast tacos, which you can't get anywhere else just because they don't open up typically until noon or like 11 o'clock. for that lunch hour. And so really appreciate his partnership here at the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. The other thing that I want to announce is some of the great things that's happening. So you can of course go to hwcoc.org/events to be able to see all this, but I want to be able to put this out. Sometimes when you go to different events, they'll have these calendars available you can check out. So right now, also there's a committee meeting later at Churrasco's off of Westheimer. That's over the lunch hour from 11:30 to 1 for the Salute to Veterans committee meeting. Then we have a ribbon cutting tonight, starting around 5:30 to 7. Hopefully you all can make it. Mile High Psychiatry is opening up. They're off of Post Oak Place, and so we really appreciate them. They're new members to the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. And then, of course, tomorrow, Mutual of Omaha Advisors is hosting the first Networking After Hours for 2020. So if you're looking to make more connections, looking to enlarge your network, it'll be a great place for you to be. And reminder of another ribbon cutting that we have next week on the 21st, Arlo Memorial Apartments, and that'll be from 4 to 6. So look forward to seeing a lot of folks there. And then finally, we have a ribbon cutting on the 23rd for Mr. Appliance, Piney Point, over off of Port West Drive. So we're excited for all the new members that are coming and having their ribbon cuttings. If they want to get that taken care of, they can reach out to Devin at the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. Her email is events@hwcoc.org, and we appreciate all that she does over there and the whole team. So also congratulations to Carrie Warner, who has been recently promoted as the president of our Houston West Chamber of Commerce. She's obviously doing some phenomenal things in helping Jeannie and the entire team there in making sure that Houston West Chamber of Commerce is relevant and that there's continue to stay in business for businesses. Also, wanted to be able to recognize this is the Rotary Club. They do a Super Bowl. It's the week before the actual Super Bowl. And so what they're looking for are people to do some soup competition for a cook-off fundraiser. And so that's going to happen on Friday, January 31st at 11 to 1 over at the Quintillion Center. So I really appreciate all the members and the great things that they're doing to make Houston West Chamber of Commerce a great organization. And of course, it doesn't exist without wonderful members. So as you know, what I want to be able to do is shift now to what I call a little Aesop's fable. And I read this story in a book recently because someone else was quoting it. It's one of the few books that I read. Oh, that was what it was. It was 25 Secrets of Building a Successful Agency for my industry specific. But what he was talking about was the parable of the grasshopper and the ant. So if you remember the story, it's summertime. The grasshopper wants to just hang out and lay out, enjoy the summertime. The ants, though, are toilously working. They constantly are storing food for the upcoming winter. And so the grasshopper tells the ant, in ant language or grasshopper language, hey, why are you working so hard? You're silly. Take advantage of the summer. The sun's out. It's great weather. Just relax. And the ants are like, no, we got work to do because winter's going to come. And so as we know what happens with the changing of the seasons, the leaves fall, it's harder to find food, and all of a sudden the grasshopper is knocking on the anthill, so to speak, and wanting food because now he can't find anything. And the ants say, nope, we have enough stored for us. That's why we worked over the summertime, provide for our own. And so that's really a great story. The moral of that story really is to be able to make sure that you're putting in the hard work that's necessary in all seasons of your life. And so sometimes there's a season of learning, sometimes there's a season of work, sometimes there's a season of play, and being able to make sure that we can mix that and balance that in our lives. The next shift that we want to have is Houston. Great place to work, live, and play. And I'm just reminded of the wonderful food that exists in our wonderful city. Remember, Houston is the most diverse city in the world, and probably that means it's probably the most diverse city in the nation. And so with that diversity comes a multitude of different cultures and food. And so what you find is as you travel the various parts of Houston that there is just a vibrant culinary experience. And so we want to be able to make sure that as you go out and about that you recognize that there are some different restaurants around Houston. So maybe if you've never been to a place, check it out. Maybe you've never had that kind of Indian food before. Maybe you've never had Thai food before. So stop on in, have an appetizer, try something new, be a little bold. So I'm taking off my name badge I wore today to remind people that when you become a member of the Houston West Chamber of Commerce, you can get these. They are provided by us by, what's the member? I can't remember their name. I said it last time and I forgot now. But they're a promotional marketing company. I forget. Remember who they are, Devin? Red Frog, yes. So they are here in business to help us. So remember that if you become a member, you get a plaque, get a little name badge, and that way people know who you are when you introduce yourself. So really appreciate everything that happens to be able to make this podcast/show happen. We're excited to have Ryan on, but before we have him on, we're going to first hear a word from our sponsor. Thanks again for everything that they do. All right, you ready? So you notice it's loud. You got to get close to this thing. So feel free to be loud. So Jonathan says, fist away. That way you get good.
Yeah, let's try to make sure I get this thing sorted out. I want to be like ducking into it or something.
Yeah, I end up just getting like super close to this, like, you know what I mean, like normal comfort level. I'd be like here, but here I'm getting in tight. Oh, they have a new video. Nice. You do? Great. What are we having over at the Houston West Chamber? I will stomp on over.
Seconds.
All right, here we go. About to make it happen. All right, everybody, welcome back to Guest of the West show. Sherman here from Mutual Omaha in the beautiful studio of Now Media. Excited to welcome first-time guest Ryan Nance. Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself to maybe a few people that might not know who you are?
Well, thank you. Ryan Nance, originally from Houston, Texas. Did 20 years in the Navy, and back after that time, I see Houston's grown a little bit since then, and just glad to be here.
All right, well, welcome back. I'm sure Houston loves having the natives back at home. So what took you out to, you were just coming from San Diego? Were you just stationed there for the time, or?
Yes, that was my last duty station. I did a couple hard tours in Hawaii where I had to see the beach every now and then, and tour in Everett, Washington. Then I went back to San Diego to finish up my time. It's the area, once you get in the military and you start having kids and stuff like that, you want to try to keep your kids in one area so they don't have to go to 15 different schools.
Yeah, that sounds like a rough life going from Hawaii to San Diego.
No, it definitely was a good time. People are always telling me, thank you for your service. And I'm like, I had a great time. I'm like, thank you for being a great taxpayer and allowing me to do those things. So.
Well, wonderful. We really do appreciate your service. So let's kind of shift on that since we started with that introduction. I know you're big on being able to be a part and volunteering at different organizations. So why don't you tell people a little bit about kind of what you're looking to do and get involved with? And so maybe if somebody is listening, they can put you in contact with the right individuals.
So the funny part is we were talking about earlier about how I found the Chamber of Commerce. I'd worked with Wounded Warriors for 7 years in San Diego, dealing with medically retired amputees, and having them learn how to convert from living in a setting where they're in a barracks, where they need to go home and they need to be able to function and be self-sufficient. So I did that for 7 years in San Diego, and I found out that there was just a great sense of pride, and you really definitely look at, what your life's problems are and the things that you deal with on a daily basis, and I think you see them in a new light. And when you see the things that these people deal with on a daily basis, it definitely helps you recalibrate, what it is in your life that's actually an issue that you're dealing with, and you kind of have a feeling where you're gonna have to cut that back now, because it's definitely harder to deal with those things and to go home to where initially your hometown's going to welcome you with open arms, and after that it kind of fades a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to be able to take on life head on. And so that's kind of, we had a cottages there in San Diego,
Yeah.
lowered countertops, widened doorways, stuff like that, but it taught them how to be self-sufficient and function on their own. So in starting the business here, that was one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to go back to helping veterans and finding veterans programs to kind of create myself, and found the Salute to Veterans Committee while I was sitting there doing my Googling, and I was like, hey, the Houston Chamber of Commerce is a great place to start in business as well too. So I thought that was definitely something to take a look at, and I ended up joining the committee and getting on board with that. I realized that there's a ton of military in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
You think, well, we're not exactly a big Navy port or anything like that, but it seems to be a hub. And it's funny, when you're in the military, everybody thinks that 50% of the military is from Texas, so it doesn't surprise me that we've all come back. So
that's amazing. So what a unique thing is that you found that the Houston West Chamber of Commerce was a great resource as you were looking to just give back to the community, specifically to the veteran community.
Yes, and there's things that you look for in all aspects, and it's been hard. I've gone through the VA, contacted other places, just trying to get information and guidance on how to get in touch with these veterans. It's one of those things that you can open up, and my biggest thing is that I specifically wanted to go after Vietnam veterans, not go after them in a crazy way, but I think they were kind of the lost generation of military, and really they're the first ones that will come up to me and tell me thank me for my service. But when you sit back there and look at what they went through, coming back from Vietnam, they didn't have the same kind of welcoming committee and everything else that I had on a daily basis. So for me, those are the ones that I definitely want to look after. And for everybody that's listening, when we talk about veterans and everything else, there's still time. There's still plenty of those people walking around, and they've gone through some horrific things in their life. And they definitely deserve the same appreciation, if not more, because we kind of need to make up for that time than I do now. So for me, they're definitely the group of people I like to work with. I think when it comes to doing stuff like wheelchair ramps and stuff like that, they're going to be kind of the target group that I'm looking for. But really, I'm open to hearing everything. To me, business is great, but I think unless you involve community in your business and you look to give back, you're truly not going to find happiness in your life, and not in your business as well either. So that's kind of my thing, is that you can't buy, as much money as you have, you can't go buy a box of happiness at the grocery store. It just doesn't happen. You can buy all the boats and trucks and everything else that you want, and you'll get a temporary, maybe a moment of happiness. But if you truly want to feel like you've done something great for the community and in your business and just in life in general, giving back to the community is definitely where it's at. And everybody has their own talents and specializations that they can look for, and that's kind of mine for it now.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you're looking beyond your business that obviously provides services, and we'll jump into that. But you're looking for a way to be able to make an impact and really have a lasting impression positively in the community. So appreciate what you're doing. So tell people a little bit about LS2 Solutions and kind of the story there.
So in the Navy, I was an engineer. So I dealt with diesel engines, electric generation, so switchboards and everything else like that. I dealt with the power and on the diesel side. So I was always interested in power, and I always thought back. You're in California and you see solar panels literally almost on every other home, and you're like, man, what's going on here? It's like this, or there's a secret here. I would fly into Texas when I'd come to buy a vehicle, and you start looking around, you're like, why don't we have solar here? Like, we have an abundance of sunshine. And, everybody I know is, talks about how hot it is. And I know my wife is like, you need to cover our house with solar panels, because if you're making me move from San Diego to Houston, I'm going to crank that AC down to 64 degrees. So it was one of
Be prepared.
So I need to have maybe a commercial air conditioner unit installed in my house. But You know, it just is one of those things. It's like it makes too much sense. But you know, the problem that I saw is that you know initially electrical prices were so cheap that if you wanted to show somebody savings in the first year, it was going to be kind of hard.
Yeah.
And you know what I've seen now, especially within the past year, you know, we're starting to see higher electrical prices now, and I'm showing people savings. If you pay 10 cents for your electricity right now per kilowatt hour, you know, I'm showing savings off 10 cents, and then, you know, as soon as it goes up from there, you know, somebody that has 13 cents per kilowatt, I'm saving them, you know, $500 to $600, maybe even up to $800. So, to me, if you're paying an electric bill, you should be putting something of value in your house, and that's the biggest thing for me is that people look at solar as a cost, like you're putting all this money out. But the reality is, you know, we finance, you know, people have their own financing methods, but I just look at if you're going to be paying for something, get something of value out of it, you know, so when you're done, when you sell your home, you get that value back, and you don't get that with electric bills. And so saving money is critical. I'm not looking to, you know, retire off of one job. So I'm always looking, I'm more becoming the Costco of solar and trying to get as many people, even if I have to, you know, cut down on the profit side, just to make it to where you're going to benefit from it. And when I say profit, I look at it as like everything that we're trying to do with the veterans and stuff like that. You know, all that money a portion of that money will be going back to helping the community as well. So we want to get as much solar out. We're trying to get it out as soon as we can. Solar tax incentive right now, the federal tax incentive is 26% for residential and commercial.
Wow.
And so, you know, the big thing is just trying to explain solar and educate Houston, and we serve all of Texas, so we can install. If you're in San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, you know, Corpus Christi, you name it, we'll get there, and we'll get you a 3D solar model of your home with a 12-month irradiance showing, you know, how sun affects your home and how much sun you'll receive. And I've had, you know, probably 200 designs that we've done so far, and I've maybe had 3 people that just didn't really seem to show a good savings the first year. So that's a pretty high percentage. You know, we're like 98%. If you're paying an electric bill right now, we're going to save you money and we're going to add value to your home. So that's the biggest thing I look at is adding value, saving money. It's just people getting over the cost aspect of it, but it's just kind of like cable.
Yep.
You know, you pay, I mean, it's ridiculous now what you're paying for cable, but everything is a cost. The only problem with cable and like your cell phone is you're never left with anything at the end of it.
Right.
At least with solar, you're left with something. We're showing in the market that people are getting dollar for dollar back on it. And, you know, dollar for dollar is good, because if you had, you know, say a solar system that was $28,000 and you get a $7,000 federal tax incentive, I would tell every single person now, if you're selling your home, put a solar system on it, and you can pay for those closing costs with that, you know, $7,000 tax incentive. But the incentives are tremendous, and you know, most importantly, especially for Houston Chamber of Commerce, our big push right now is also for commercial as well. We're doing a few commercial jobs and looking at. There's customers in Houston that are interested in green buildings.
Yes.
LEED certifications, if people hadn't heard too much about that, LEED certifications give you huge federal tax incentives. Harris County also gives huge tax incentives for LEED certified green buildings, and that's going to be my big push going into the years beyond, because if you're in the commercial side, those tax incentives will never run out. They're going to be, after 2022, they hit 10% and they never end. But the state and county tax incentives are so good on the commercial side. I was looking at some information the other day that if you put all the incentives together, it pays for 55% of your system, your solar system. And what we see, we have an auto body shop we're looking at, is the customers paying 6 cents per kilowatt hour. After we did it as a cash deal, he's basically under 3 cents per kilowatt hour, and he's added, you know, $150,000 into his business. It's an investment, and in the meantime, he's paying half of what he was paying for electricity before. So there's no way around it. Solar is definitely going to be coming more to Texas. You're going to see a lot more of it soon, and as soon as people understand that it's an investment and you're going to save money all at the same time, it's just great for Texas. And we have plenty of the material needed to power those panels. So, as long as the sun's hitting your house, and, even, days like today, we look outside and we're like, man, this is not exactly the nicest day, but hey, if you can see outside, you're still producing power. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's sunny outside or it's cloudy. Even if it's cloudy, I look at panels on my own home. I'm still producing at least 30 to 40% of what I will be producing on a sunny day during that time of year. So.
Gotcha. So I think one of the fallacies then is that people think that the true cost is what you're quoting them. In reality, with the tax credits, some of the savings that they're going to get, obviously on their electricity bill on a monthly basis, it really gets down to what is the true cost, the net cost to the person.
So that is one cost. It's just the overall cost. So if I was to tell you the way solar works, we basically go off of about 25 years. The reality is the solar panel and all the equipment, they're warranted out 25 years, but it's not like they hit 25 years and stop working.
Right.
There's panels that were made in the 70s that are still producing power today. So, 30, 35 years, it wouldn't be a surprise to me that you're still producing power during that time, and a good amount of power, at least, 75 to 80% of what was initially installed. The cost, if the electric company was to tell you how much money you're going to pay from now until the next 25 years, you would lose your mind.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's unknown. And so the best part about solar is once you go solar, let's say, your average electric bill, we do it basically based off averages for a year. If your average electric bill is $150 a month, we do solar, and let's say it's $130. And people are like, well, it's only $20. Well, that's $20 times 12. But guess what? It's still going to be $130 in 20 years from now, or whenever you pay it off. Whereas God only knows what our electrical prices are going to be in 20 years from now here in Houston.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you right now, it's like you look at California, you're at 32 cents a kilowatt hour out there.
Wow.
You don't ask people if they're interested in solar. They're either looking for a company or they've already got it. And I think that Texas is going to be kind of the same way, because unless you start seeing less people moving here, which is not happening anytime soon,
right,
or we start building a whole bunch of gas power plants or other power plants, the electrical prices are only going to get higher.
Yeah.
And it's good for us. It's good for the state of Texas. People are interested in green energy and clean and for the environment. And there's really no downside I see to it. So I'm glad to answer any questions. I tell people all the time, like, I will come to your office and talk. I have a solar 101 course I do, so I'll talk with real estate agent, mortgage brokers, title people. But really, I'll just come and talk to anybody, and I'll answer the questions. I'm not there to sell you on solar, because once you understand solar, solar sells itself.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how solar works from a cost standpoint. I think the next one that people think about is just the durability, right? And obviously 25 years, there's very few things that you can put a guarantee on. Most people's roofs aren't going to last that long. And so I think that a lot of times it comes down to some of the education, right, that you need to be able to tell people of how important it is, and just what the true details are.
Yeah, and with solar, like I've told people before, solar falls under your homeowner's insurance. People talk about, how durable is it? Well, it's tempered glass, so it can basically take up to golf ball size hail. And I said, look, if you're getting golf ball size hail on your solar panels, your roof is going to be gone too. So it's all going to be replaced. So it falls under the homeowner's insurance policy for that. And, looking at technology, if you were to look at what, solar panels, and I think that's actually the good part about, Texas compared to California. California was installing solar 15 years ago, and we were putting, 175, 200 watt panels on roofs, and they look terrible. Like, I am an aesthetics person too. I like to look at, a home and see a nice design, nice panels. We have all black panels. And so when you see those old silver with the blue and stuff like that, it looks terrible. So, and then not only that, they're creating, a lot less power. Now our lowest panel that we use is 310 watts, powder coated black frames, black tempered glass. Like, it's really kind of fades itself into the roof, looks really nice, and it's got a 25-year warranty along with, all the equipment that goes along with it. So,
gotcha.
And there's no maintenance. So, people are like, well, what do I got to do? I'm like, nothing. It rains plenty for us here. And, unless you're in like a brand new neighborhood with dust everywhere,
Yeah.
Maybe you might have to spray some water on it with your garden hose just to kind of clean them off. But you'll know that because when you get a solar system installed, you get a mobile app, you're able to track this on your computer, and you can see your panels and all your equipment in real time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I wrote a paper on that when people go solar, they're gonna be like, okay, let's turn the AC down to snow and let's see if we can make a artificial environment in our home. The reality is people pay way more attention to their electricity.
Yep.
And you actually see a 15 to 20% drop in their electrical usage because now they're like, oh man, I've only exported 3 kilowatt hours or something like that today. And so they'll go off flipping off lights, or they'll go get a smart thermostat and be able to adjust it. So we actually see a decrease in usage from people actually putting solar on their home, and it's more or less they're more aware now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool how solar works and how it kind of changes the mindset of people, and really where we've come today compared to 10 years ago. It's so much cheaper. The durability of these panels is so much better.
Yeah.
It really can't get any better than this.
There's a lot of great things going for solar right now, for whether you're on the commercial side or on the residential side.
Commercial is the best.
Yeah, well, it seems like it. I read an article a few years ago that all the Walmarts, if you were to take their square footage of their roofs, and you solar panel them, it would be the size square miles of Manhattan.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Not just from the United States. Just amazing how much wasted space a lot of commercial space has upstairs.
And you'll even see if you're flying out of airports now, you'll see. And Houston is really becoming a hub for all these distribution centers, and I'm like, oh man, what a perfect opportunity for these distribution centers. And I flew out of Phoenix one time, and Target has a big distribution center. I looked down and there's the Target logo on this huge distribution center, and it's all done in solar panels. So it looks pretty cool. So now I'm starting to see like designs and stuff like that on some of these rooftops. People had logos. We could even implement something like that onto a rooftop in solar. But there's so much space available. The options are basically unlimited. We're even talking about looking at mobile offices with solar panels that it can be dropped off and used with battery power as well too. The options are endless for solar. I mean, if somebody has a need for something for power in remote locations, we even look at something like that too to try to accommodate that. It's just, if you can dream it, there's probably going to be a way that we can get you power wherever you are, unless it's Antarctica or something like that. Then we may just send you with the panels and do a YouTube video or something for you.
That's great. So besides obviously what you have going on over at LS2 Solutions, is there anything else that kind of got you excited right now on what's happening, work-wise or anything else?
A lot of the green building stuff, like I was kind of talking about, I was reading a lot more about LEED certifications and, not just on the solar side, but, goes, into using different types of paints, landscaping and stuff like that. And those are things that commercial businesses and business owners would want to look at. There's huge tax benefits, not just solar, but looking at LEED certifications. I see here in the future we've got a number of buildings already in Houston, but those are going to be some exciting things coming forward that are going to be good for businesses, because it's at this point it's kind of wasted money, and for just some small changes in what you do as a business, you could ultimately save yourself a lot of money. Yeah. So that's really, if you're looking at wasted costs, with electric bills and stuff like that you don't have any control of. You do have control over your business, and those are some of the things that I want to look at towards the future, and customers that are interested in trying to gain those LEED certifications. I definitely want to talk to them, because it's an interesting thing, and I think it's not hard for commercial and businesses to attain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what a wonderful way to be able to help make sure that you're promoting that green experience from the construction all the way up to completion. I know that you were introduced to the Houston West Chamber of Commerce through your search, through the veterans. What made you kind of, I guess, still decide to be active with the Houston West Chamber of Commerce? What have you experienced so far?
I love it. I love business. It's actually the fourth business that I've started, and it's just one of those things. I think for people that are in business, it's one of those things that it can almost drive you crazy in your life, sucking up every single moment of time. I mean, it'll be 3 a.m. sometimes. And I'm thinking about something, and I have to go Google it or I have to go look it up. And you know, when you start meeting other people that are business owners and everything else too, you really start to gain an appreciation, you know, for what you're doing. And you start seeing, you know, that it's really something that's difficult and it's life consuming to own a business. And when you start meeting people that are kind of on that same wavelength as you and the commitment that needs to be made, it's nice to be able to talk with other people. It's nice to, you know, talk to them on, yeah, you were in similar, or, you know, some of the environments that you're in, what things would you have done differently? You know, to be able to ask those questions, because if you don't ask those questions in business, you're going to pay for those problems later on. So it's nice to be able to, you know, think about some of the, listen to the stories of some other people, in the networking aspect of working with the Houston Chamber of Commerce. And you know, they're not just a networking committee, you know, like you have some around here. It's more about giving back to the community and everything else. And that's kind of what I want to be known for with this business. And it's nice to meet other people in business and try to make those connections. And you know, it's, you know, there's a bright future. You know, especially when you're with that group of people, you can help accelerate your business and get it off the ground even faster than you would in any other way.
Wonderful. We appreciate that. We're glad that you recognize that the Houston West Chamber of Commerce is a great place to be able to not only promote your business, but be able to have a nice positive impact on the community. So Ryan, really appreciate you taking the time to come and visit with us today and share with us your story and the impact you have out there. So if you're in the commercial or residential space, feel free to reach out to Ryan. He can educate you on all the nuances and the experience on solar. Ryan, how can people get a hold of you, especially if I'm listening to the podcast? What's the best way for me to reach out to you?
So best way to give us a call, phone number is 281-800-SOLAR. So that's SOLR or 7657, but that's an easy way to remember. We also have a Facebook page, LS2 Solutions, and also a website, www.ls2solutions.com. But you know, either way it goes. If you hit me on Facebook at 3 a.m, I may be up. So if you're one of those people that stays up all night, I'll probably answer your message. So don't be alarmed.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. I want to thank again Jonathan, our producer here at Now Media Studios. Thankful for Juan and his team and letting us use their space. Thanks to Devin at the Houston West Chamber of Commerce for organizing this and making sure that we can make a great experience for our members. And so if you're a member of the Houston West Chamber of Commerce, or you'd like to be, feel free to reach out. We'd love to be able to share your story here on the Guest in the West show. And so
he is a natural. That's